Hello, how are you? We go to start. My name is Fátima Casaú, and I've been working in software development for 8 years. And currently I work as a Scrum Master in Paradigma Digital. In most cases in a Spring project based in microservices architectures. Also, I have been speaker in some events such as Grid, Spring I, Spring I, TechFest, Conferencia YAML Spain, and so on. Also, I organize the Meetup Madrid Spring User Group. First of all, give me 2 minutes to tell you about the Meetup. From November, I organized this Meetup with the support of Paradigma Digital. We try to celebrate a meeting once a month, more or less. And the last meeting was last Wednesday. And in this time, we counted on the presence of Mark Heckler, and talking about Cloud Native Java in the offices of Library in Madrid. The next meeting will be in June, and we will publish it as soon as possible. Other past meetings was about Spring Boot with Ivan Lopez, Spring Boot on Rails 3 with Álvaro Sánchez, and Spring Cloud with Javier Ledo, and all co-working in Paradigma, and took place, for example, at 20 offices and Google Campus. All the meetings are recorded by Paradigma and published in the Meetup page. So after this promo, let's go. Today, I want to talk to you about RAML, a RESTful API Modeling Language used as a new specification to manage the lifecycle of our APIs. In Paradigma, we have started to use this tool in some projects, and I think that is interesting, so I want to show you today. I was talking about RAML in the past edition of Grid's conference in Madrid, but it was a lightning talk, around 10 minutes, so I hope to talk more time today. There are a lot of tools to design, build, test, document, and share APIs built over RAML. The specification format looks like YAML, the markup language used, for example, in Spring Boot configuration files. So we can describe how our REST API should behave and return values in a friendly known language. Furthermore, a RAML documentation is to an API what a WSDL document is, for example, to a SOAP service, but easier to write, manage, and understand. After this short introduction, I want to focus on some of the lifecycle API phases, design, document, and testing. In first place, design. Firstly, to design our APIs, we can use tools such as, for example, API design or API workbench of MuleSoft. This is the page of MuleSoft. As I said before, in Paradigma Digital, we have started to use the API design tool of MuleSoft to describe our REST APIs. Currently, some of our projects are in part REST APIs implemented as microservices with Spring Boot. That are consumed by external third parties or by, for example, front-end developers. Other phase I want to focus is the document phase. We can generate the documentation, for example, in the API console of MuleSoft. And in other case, with the tool run to HTML, writing for Node.js, which is a tool that generates a single HTML page console based on a RAML definition. There are other tools like RAML for JAX-RS or RAML to HTML for PHP. or something like that you can see here. You can see its tools for any phases of the API lifecycle in RAML.org. The next phase is the test phase. On the other hand, backends can test the implementation of the API using a library called RAML tester. And this tool allows testing if the request and response match a given RAML definition. You can see the documentation on GitHub in this page. To start to use, you need to add this line to the POM XML or similar in a build Gradle file. And here a little example of how to use RAML tester. For example, using TDD principles, I could write a Spock test using the RAML tester library. We specify the API RAML doc and the URI, and this is our API match with the spec. And now you can write a REST controller, for example, a class that matches to the specification. As you can see here, the controller and the class. And now I want to show you how to use the tool in the web page, so we can see an example. This is the API manager. Sorry. Okay. This is the API manager of MLSO. And here we can create, we can start to define an API, for example. The name, Spring IO, version name, for example, and perdona, voy a necesitar cambiar la resolución. Es que no veo la pantalla completa.
A ver qué te hace. Hasta que te sale.
Sí.
No pasa nada.
Vale, es que si no, no veo la pantalla.
Ya está.
¿Sí? Vale. Okay. Now we can start to define the API. Here we have the API RAML document, and we can start to work. So, for example, I want to specify endpoints, for example, conference. And here we can see some options, for example, the description, conferences, description. For example, a method get, description, get a list of conferences, responses, for example, 200, body, format, application JSON. Now we go to define schemas. we can define the type object. Also, the properties. Type integer. Also, we can put as required true. Another property title. Sorry. This conference ID. Type string, required true, and finally year. Type integer. If I'm not wrong, site properties, conference, okay. So now I can put an example. Oh, sorry. For example, total conferences, a list of conferences. Conference ID 1, title, for example, greet, year, and other Spring I, year. So we can show in the left side, in the right side, the documentation. For example, we write a get with a 200 response and with a schema with a sample, and we try it. We can see the example, the documentation. And also we go to save. We can modularize and reuse the code. For example, creating a new file, schema conference. And write the schema. And also a new file, example conference, and put some examples. And now we can use in this file, for example, we can include the file. Schemas. Conference. Include schema conference.json. And now we can use this schema, for example. With a post. Create a new conference. Body application JSON example. Conference ID, title, Spring I, year, responsive 201. Application JSON example. Example. Message. New conference created. Also, we can specify another endpoint with a URI parent. With URI parameters, for example, conference ID, type number, example 2, and a method get. And now, for example, we can reference the schema defined in the file schema conference. And also, we can use here the file directly, including the file example conference.json. So here we can see example, the post, and we can try it with the sample and the response 201 new conference created. Also, we can see the API. One moment. Now we can create a portal to the API, and we can edit the portal. For example, we can make visible the home and the API reference, and here we can see the documentation. Also, we can custom the home, for example, some image, custom the colors, save, and now we can see the documentation of the API. And we can try it, and we can see the reply, the response. And in the RAML page, we can see some documentation about how to use RAML with examples, and how to extract schemas, or how to use resource types, or how to use parameters, how to use includes, traits. So we go to continue. I want to talk about some advantages and disadvantages of RAML. One moment, please. Okay, some of the main advantages. So in both cases, we can design our APIs and their behavior before starting to develop and use the RAML document generated as a contract for third parties. Unlike Swagger, for example, we can document the API before the code and anticipate to deliver this information to third parties or for example, to the front-end developers. When talking about testing of our APIs, in many cases, the front developers cannot start to work in the development and testing of the access to the APIs until the backend finish their work. But if we can design and document the APIs before we can expose them, front ends or third parties can start to work testing the APIs. Other advantages, for example, as I said before, looks like YAML. We can modularize the document in schemas, example, and traits, and this option allows us to reuse the different modules in different parts of the document or in other RAML documents. Also, we can use a web tool to manage our APIs or the API workbench as an ID. And finally, we can find a lot of tools and plugins in RAML page to integrate it with our development language, frameworks, tools, or IDs. But also, there are disadvantages. The main disadvantage is the maintenance because, for example, once you have the API implemented and you want to do some change, then also you have to change the RAML document. So it's difficult to maintain. And once in this point, you should use something like Spring Restock or Swagger or something like that. That's all. It's very short. Thank you. Other questions? Yes.
Well, but the question about the last point you have mentioned. You have shown that once you design using RAML, your specification should be maintained using RAML. That is maybe because you build. Are you trying to build a Spring controller using RAML, and you have to maintain the controller, developing the behavior of the controller in Java, for example? Is it possible to use this tool like scaffolding tools? That is, you
generate the code
build the controller once, and later you are responsible to maintain the controller, and you only, for example, verify using RAML if somebody have changed the interface, the contract, but maybe no more.
I think not, but I don't investigate in deep. No, I think that no, there are not this possibility. I think no. What? Thank you.